heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Plus Platoon. My name is Derek, and the Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed, and you will never miss a moment. I would like to pull in the other members of the platoon. The first one I'm going to bring in is Kate. Kate. Dalmatian Kate. How you doing this evening?
I'm so good. I'm ready to talk about all things Cruella de Vil.
As am I. Next, we are going to have Peter. Peter, what's going on?
Hey Derek, hey Kate, how are you? I am excited to talk about this movie. I have mixed feelings, I'm going to say. And I'm looking forward to talking about it with my fellow platooners because I watched it on 2 days. No, I guess I just watched it 2 days ago. And I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Next, we have Rebecca. Rebecca, what's up this evening?
Hi, guys. Happy Platoons Day. So excited to be here. I actually have probably differing opinions about this movie, so I'm excited to talk about them.
And we have the fifth member of our platoon is Sam.
Hello.
Sam, great to see you this evening.
Yes, great to see you all, and super excited to be here for Platoons Days also,
Yay.
Rebecca, and really excited to chat about Cruella. I will tell you, I watched it again this weekend because I've watched it maybe a dozen times now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, not always all at once, right? Like sometimes we'll turn it on right before bed or something like that. So we'll watch sort of pieces of it. But yeah, I've watched this movie a lot.
Wow. So if you would, please like, subscribe, share on all the social media platforms, YouTube. That way, guys, we'll make announcements on what's coming up. And we've got some fun stuff coming up, part of which is going to be talked about by my girl, Kate. Kate, what's the news this week?
Oh, everybody, get excited. It's time for the Disney Plus news. We gotta come up with a soundbite there, and it's gonna be great. Okay. So there's so many things going on in Disney Plus news. Disney is currently working with Google Chrome for ASL captions on their movie library. If you don't know what ASL stands for, it stands for, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's American Sign Language. Is that correct, team?
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay. So we're talking about sign language, which is amazing. Talk about inclusion. It's awesome. So far, this is limited to Moana, Zootopia, and The Incredibles, but it is going to expand. So we love it to see that. Disney is all about progress, and this is a huge step for progress. So next, Marvel is working on an unnamed Halloween special starring a Latino actor for 2022 Disney Plus release. It is thought to be based on Werewolf by Night from the comics. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. There's also a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special in the works. Y'all, what I would give for a Groot Christmas. Listen, you want to talk to my little baby Groot heart. We're doing a Groot Christmas. We don't know that for sure, but that's what I would like. Okay. Next up, the Rocketeer movie is getting a reboot on Disney Plus. The title character will be a retired Tuskegee Airman. Oh, that's amazing. Black Widow will be released on standard Disney Plus on October 6th. Shang-Chi. Yes, I said that right. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will be coming to Disney Plus mid-October, and rumors have it arriving for standard content users, so no extra fee. Woohoo! It has a 45-day theater exclusive, which would release it on Disney Plus the week of October 18th. Probably the 22nd if they keep releasing movies on on Fridays. And last but certainly not least, Jungle Cruise will be standard Disney Plus November 12th. There was also an announcement that there will be a sequel developed, so it looks like it's headed for a full Pirates of the Caribbean treatment. I am here for it. Back to you, Derek.
I'm dreaming of a Groot Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I know Kate's here for that.
I'm just wondering how many of the old tapes of all the old Christmas carols they'll pull out.
Oh, that would be amazing. It'll be like rocking around the Christmas tree and stuff like that.
The Grootmas treat. Listen, we can go all night on this.
Wow, yeah. But we have other stuff we can go all night on. Although, Kate, you are getting a shout out from Brian about the DCL Duo that she loves the dedication to the theming. Love the
Thank
outfit.
you.
So this week we did watch Cruella. Cruella came out on Friday to General Disney Plus, and we watched it. So I'm going to ask you, Pete, what was spot on? In other words, what worked for the show?
Well, this is a tough one because I have some problems with this movie, but I'm going to stick with what I liked. And I did enjoy the story. I did enjoy the acting. I did enjoy the music. I thought was fantastic. I did enjoy the movie quite a bit, but there's something I need to talk about, but I'm going to wait and talk about it until after. But I think my favorite part of it, I thought the music particularly really worked in the movie, kind of setting it in that 70s vibe. And they did a lot of, 60s and 70s classics. I mean, I know a lot of people are doing that now since Guardians of the Galaxy started it, but I think it really worked for this movie. And I did enjoy the movie quite a bit. I'll say that. So what about you, Rebecca?
I also really did enjoy this movie. I thought Emma Stone was spectacular as Cruella. I think that she really hit the head of the nail. I don't know that saying. I think she nailed it. Let's just say it was super interesting. I felt hooked kind of right from the beginning with her childhood and being born with that black and white hair. I thought that was really funny and a nice touch. Kind of makes you believe in the fact that, this was always who she really was. The wig was Estella and she wasn't actually this nice, happy person. I really loved the characters of Horace and forgive me, Jasper, yes. I thought I'm guys, where he's sitting there eating his Frosties and all of a sudden they're just all over the floor and he was like, my breakfast. I literally can't do anything until I've eaten breakfast. Like I refuse to think about it. They were just hilarious characters. And I really thought that it was a story that I didn't know where it was going to go. So I was intrigued with the whole thing. But yeah, Sam, what are you thinking?
You guys, I think I've said this before, but I adore this movie. Love, adore, cannot say enough good things about this movie. I mean, Emma Stone is wonderful, but there are two other characters in this movie that I kind of think steal the show a little bit from Emma Stone, who that's really hard to do in this movie. But one of those is Emma Thompson as the Baroness. She is delightfully wicked. She's such a wonderful villain in this movie. And I don't think of her as a villain because she's played so many nice and heroic characters in so many other movies. Like in, she's an interesting, quirky character in Harry Potter. But the other character that totally steals the show for me is Wink. Wink is like the best character ever. He's the little dog, and he's just amazing. He's just the cutest thing, and you can tell that these animals were treated well in this production, and it's just really really, really such an amazing movie. But the one thing I will piggyback with Pete on is the music in this movie is out of control amazing. I mean, you've got Rolling Stones tunes in multiple places. You've got These Boots Are Made for Walking. You've got, I mean, it's just, it makes the movie even more fun than it already is with all of this amazing background music. Derek, what do you think?
As a standalone movie, I think it has potential to work. I totally agree. I think at times the soundtrack's all that saved it for some of the stuff at some periods, especially the beginning, which luckily that's when they threw in a bunch of really good songs. I got the feeling as I watched it that if I watched it a few more times, I might like it a little bit better. I have problems with it as an origin story, but as a movie itself, I think it works. The acting was great. I liked the story for what it was. Especially the second 2/3 really held my attention well. But we'll see how the other side of it comes out. So, Kate, what worked for you?
I loved it. I wasn't sure I was going to like it. Okay, well, maybe loved is a big term. Having watched that movie growing up as a kid and seeing how they brought in Horace and Jasper, I loved that. How she got connected with Horace and Jasper in the first place. Gina actually made a really good comment on the side that said she enjoyed the acting, the score, the period, but it isn't a villainous story. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be saying what I like. Shoot.
Yes.
We'll come back to that. But and the music, holy mackerel. Like, and I knew, because I believe Sam had said, and I saw some people posting on social media how good the music complements the movie. I love the costuming.
Yeah.
When she has that coat and turns it and it becomes red. That was a very Hunger Games type thing to do. Loved the costuming. I enjoy it. It was different than I expected. And I'll dig into a little bit on that when we go to the next question.
Dan, along with this, he says Horace was hilarious and the music was great. Ryan comments, typically compare these origin stories to Maleficent, and this one was spot on. Very good, Ryan. Maybe better than Maleficent for him.
Totally agree.
Now,
Maleficent.
Boo on that.
Boo.
Ryan does say that Sam ridiculed him for buying the extra access, which
the premium. Yeah,
apparently.
I wanted to wait. I like to wait. I don't like to pay $30 for premium access.
So was it worth? So in your mind, was it worth the $30?
Yes. So that's the crazy thing about this is like I actually after I watched it, after the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, I was wrong. It's okay that you paid $30 for it because I loved it so much, and we've watched it like so many times now since it's been on premium.
It's just too bad you don't actually own it, because
that's okay. That's okay.
Now, so
I'm gonna keep paying for Disney Plus.
Yeah. So we have,
or I get kicked out of the platoon.
That were spot on, but Rebecca, what missed the mark? What didn't work?
So kind of with what everyone else has been saying, this really wasn't the villain story that I was really going for. They kind of hinted at the fact that she was this monstrous woman who uses the who uses the coats of the dogs as fabric, right? They hinted at that many times, and that is probably the one thing that you know about Cruella is that she kills these Dalmatians for their hides to make, or even if it's not true, the rumored thing about her is that she kills all these Dalmatians for their hides to make coats and stuff like that. And I kind of wanted her to do that in the movie just because that's exactly who you think Cruella is. I wanted her to be someone that becomes this vicious character that is solely out for revenge and wanting to rule the fashion world. And so that was really the only major problem that I think I had with the movie, was that it just wasn't angry enough for me. It wasn't revengeful. I know this is kind of a good thing again, but the fire scene was really impactful for me. I thought that scenery was great, but why can't she do that to like the mansion, or kind of play the actual revenge joke back on her and do so? Now she just owns the dogs. It's a little different. It was not the type of origin leading into this monstrous villain that I was expecting, but it was still okay. Sam, if anything, what were some of the things that you didn't like?
So I wouldn't say that it's something I didn't like, but I agree that it misses the mark on being an origin story if you're saying that this needs to lead into the old 101 Dalmatians movie, right? If they're going to reimagine a 101 Dalmatians movie, then this could be the prequel to that. But this isn't a prequel to the original 101 Dalmatians movie, because there are too many things that don't match up, right? There is the fact that she doesn't actually use the dogs to make the dog's hide to make her coat. There's the fact that, if this evil Cruella would have pushed her mother over the balcony instead of getting pushed over the balcony herself, right? So there's things that just don't kind of match up. Another detail that doesn't match up, although it's very cute nod to the original, is when she has Perdido and Pongo delivered to Roger and to Anita Darling. But the problem is that Anita is Anita Darling, but Roger is not Roger Darling. And in the original, they're Roger and Anita Darling. So unless they're very progressive and they're going to get married and he's going to take her name, which is totally a possibility, it doesn't fit up exactly right. And it is a little weird that Cruella is the one that gifted them Perdita and Pongo. But anyway, it doesn't fit perfectly. I don't mind that, in the sense that I like this as a reimagining of Cruella, and I'm kind of hoping, if they're gonna, they're doing a sequel, I'm kind of hoping they'll reimagine 101 Dalmatians, but it doesn't fit exactly as an origin story, and so that's how it misses the mark for me. Again, it's not a dislike. I'm more answering the question in the literal sense. Derek?
You hit on one of my big hates of the movie. I hated that end credit scene. If that had not been in there, it definitely increases my score for the movie. Let's not mention the fact that Pongo and Perdita are from the same litter and then are therefore supposed to have puppies later. That doesn't work.
Yeah, unless they explain it some other way, that they're not that one dog's, one of them is not that one dog's litter.
Roger's already working on the song. Whereas in the original, he had just barely started it when Pongo was full grown. So that end credit scene does not work. Huge continuity issues.
I liked it too, Kate. But Derek's right. It doesn't match.
Not if you want it to be a prequel to 101 Dalmatians.
Right.
I thought the first 40 minutes were a remake of When the Devil Wears Prada. Because that's all the conflict there was. The CGI at times was very terrible. The dogs attacking was horrible. And then her landing in the water, but stopping at the waist and automatically getting in the boat. It would have been better if she'd hit the boat. But it was just one of those, she lands, wait a minute, she doesn't even there's no splash around her or anything. So it's just, it did not, I didn't mind the falling.
That looked like an unfinished shot. That was I actually rewound it to rewatch it because I was like, what happened there?
Yeah, it was that bad. And it's not Cruella. It's not Cruella de Vil that we have come to know. She should have killed the dogs. She should have killed the dogs and made the coat. You could tell looking at it wasn't, but she should have killed the dogs and made the coat. Because now, what's her drive for getting the Dalmatians? Unless in Cruella 2, which, yes, there is going to be a Cruella 2, even dog ear or something, I don't know. But what is going to turn her into the Dalmatian hating, will do everything woman that she becomes? because in every
Nothing.
version
She's clearly gonna save the Dalmatians because
and they're
she's
gonna go
not a
full
bad person.
on it, and I'm gonna hate it as much as I hated that. So it does not work with the original movie. And that really, it was billed as a sequel origin story for Cruella, and it didn't work. Kate, what didn't work for you?
I actually have a very, very similar answer that while I was grateful that she didn't kill the dogs because I would have been very sad, but I was expecting it to happen because that is what happened in the original. My only beef was that it didn't make me hate her.
Mhm.
It didn't make me want to root against her. And in the original movie, you hate her. Like you are cheering for those puppies. You are cheering for Roger, like skinny little bony Roger, who like you are rooting for them and against her. And like when she drives her car and she like there's that one scene in the old movie where her hair is like and she's like and she's driving and she's crazy. I felt so much sympathy and empathy for her in what she had been through and how she was trying to avenge her mom and like be the girl that her mom wanted her to be. And great movie. And I do like the origin story, but I have to agree that it didn't make me hate her. And like when she like killed Estella and like buried her, I don't know. I feel like I have so much more good things to say about the movie. I loved the nod to Anita, loved the nod to Roger. I really liked, but I wasn't reading as much into it. I really liked that they brought Pongo and Perdita into it. Because I was like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. But now that you all are saying this, I get it. But Pete, what do you think?
So I'm going to say more of the same, but I'm going to sum it up that this is a very good movie. This isn't Cruella de Vil. I'm sorry. Cruella de Vil is an evil character that wants to kill puppies so she can make a couple coats. Brian mentions that in the original, she's very one-dimensional. And yes, she is. She is evil. This Cruella is not evil at all. She's barely mean a few times. And otherwise, that she steals stuff, but she's stealing stuff because she's poor and homeless. And, she doesn't hurt anybody really at any point in the movie, particularly. She gets, attacked frequently but she doesn't really she even has reason to kill this person. And she doesn't even do that. So she's not evil at all. This is not an evil character. And
guys, she's an anti-hero, just like Marvel's introducing all these anti-heroes. She's an anti-hero.
An anti-hero is someone that you hate. This character is very likable. She's likable. You don't make Cruella likable. That's why I'm torn, because I enjoyed the heck out of the movie. But as a Cruella origin stories, I think it sucks. I'm sorry. They squeeze all these other characters in, like Anita and Roger. Roger is a lawyer in any of the other versions of. Right. Just so they could have Roger there. And as you said, they gave Anita the darling the last name, which doesn't make any sense either. But Anita was fine because she has no personality in the original movie, so she was fine. But I was so torn because of that, because I'm like, this is not Cruella de Vil. This is someone else. That's because how do you go to someone that's making coats out of animals that is evil? Because she's not really evil. She got revenge on someone that did her wrong and did her really dirty and killed her mom. I would have done worse, So I don't know. I just I don't know. I don't know how to feel, and that's why I want to talk to you guys. But I don't know what else to say. I enjoyed the movie a lot. Don't think too much about the connection to the original movie, or it drives you crazy. So that's all I got to say. So I don't even know
No,
if to rate
you made really good points. You made really all of you have made really good points. Rebecca, was there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, so I was gonna kind of piggyback off of what Pete was saying, that when she was stealing things, she was Estella. She was never doing things like that as Cruella. And then once she actually became Cruella and Estella had gone, she never did anything mean except for being rude to Horace and Jasper. But even then, she apologized for that behavior and was like, I won't do it again. I'm so sorry. I need you. Like Cruella, when I picture Cruella DeVille, and forgive me again, I haven't watched 101 Dalmatians enough to remember it. I have seen it.
Sure.
But I haven't watched it enough to remember exact origins and things like that. But if I'm going to watch the origin story of the one villain and the one thing that I know about that movie, I want it to bring it in all together. I never wanted, like we've all said, I never wanted to like her. I never wanted to feel bad for her or like understand why she is the way she is. You know, I never felt that way back when I was watching 101 Dalmatians. So that was the only thing for me, is like why she all of a sudden felt the need to just be likable. Like, why did they have to do that?
So there were two things that caught me a tiny bit off guard, and maybe, granted, I only watched it through one time. So Sam, I'm looking at you that you may be able to answer this. When they showed Horace and Jasper, which one is which?
Horace
Jasper's
is
the
the
tall.
heavy guy. Jasper's the tall guy.
Jasper. Okay. So
Yeah.
how do I say this politically correctly?
When
When they were kids, was Jasper's skin much darker than, because when they showed him as kids, I was like, oh dang, Jasper's black. That's dope. Like, oh, I love the, because I love when they like change things up. I loved that. But then when he was an adult,
I think he's multiracial.
Okay.
So yeah,
it threw me off a little bit.
Yeah. No,
I'm the only one that noticed.
Yeah, I thought that they did a pretty good job of casting,
Okay.
but I think that they made him a multiracial character.
That's
I
totally
hope I'm
great.
using the right term. If I'm using
Sure.
the wrong term, somebody correct me. But but that's how I took it.
Okay.
But I agree. I like that I like that Anita was a black woman, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like that they are, Disney's doing that with changing from what, because all the cartoons, except for like Mulan, were all white people, right?
Right.
Or Pocahontas, right? So it's nice to see them reimagine some of these characters with different racial backgrounds or different ethnic backgrounds. And I think that's one of the things they were doing there.
The only other thing that I wanted to add was, so you love to hate Cruella. I also didn't entirely want to sympathize with Horace and Jasper. I wanted to dislike them too. And even when he was like, I don't think I like Cruella. Like, I miss Estella. And like, you really are like, oh man, I've been there. Like, I've been friends with someone and then that person turned out to be somebody different or mean or something. And so that resonated with me. And then I was like, wait a minute, I don't want this to resonate with me. I want to not like you. So anyway, that's all I got.
It's so tough because Sam's completely right. I mean, she's sitting there and listening to all of us, but you're completely right, Sam. This is a really, really good movie. It really is, but it's just like, I want it to not be attached to Cruella DeVille.
I totally hear you, Pete.
It's so much better.
I think that is your criticism and Derek's criticism on those points are totally valid, but I like to think of this as a reimagining, right? I like to think of this as a new story, and Brian says it well in his comment. We got something new and original, not just a stodgy live action remake. That's way better in my opinion. So this is the way I think of this movie, right? I have to separate it from being a prequel or a setup for 101 Dalmatians and think of it as its own story, a reimagining of 101 Dalmatians, because otherwise I get stuck like you do and like Derek does and like Kate and Rebecca do on she's not the villain I want her to be because she's not the old Cruella. And and the setup has details that are off with nods, right? So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, Brian says original Cruella was so one-dimensional. We touched on this a little bit. New Cruella is multidimensional and opens so many possibilities in the sequel. Disney's all about redemption stories for the villains, like it or not. Yes, they are.
Yep.
And Brian says the end credit scene is a nod to the original before the franchise departs on a new path. Again, then don't sell it as a prequel.
Right.
Then don't sell it as an origin story. In this, Roger's portrayed as a bumbling lawyer in this film, says Gina. Yeah, and he never was in any of the other movies. Ryan says that isn't the point of these villain origin stories to make them likable, though? Yeah, but that's not always a good thing. I mean,
it's as I said, it's so hard. It's so hard for me because again, it's a quality film. I would recommend it to people, but I just want something different from Cruella is one of those characters that's like the worst of the villains. I mean, some villains, like a villain like Scar, it's like Scar. What?
I would put her as number 2 behind Maleficent, but go ahead.
I think Frollo's pretty bad too, but
Frollo's bad.
She right. It's one of the worst Disney villains, and then to change it and be like, yeah, actually, she's pretty good. She's a really good designer, and she's good to her. She ends up being good to her friends, and she gets revenge, and she gets to be rich. And I don't know. It's just I can't get past it.
Yeah. Was there anyone else when they first saw Anita as a reporter thought she was straight off of Spaceship Earth with that outfit?
Cleopatra.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just the computer scene. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that too.
It was a period piece, but that was the outfit from Spaceship Earth.
It
was just one of those.
That was. Yep.
Oh, and
Rebecca,
I do want
real quick
a positive shout out to Mark Strong, who played the Baroness's main assistant guy, the bald guy, that ends up helping out in the end. He always plays a bad guy, so like the twist of him being the one to help them out was just like, I did not see it coming because he almost always plays a bad guy. So
yes,
I always like him too. So that I don't know. It's, as I said, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I did. I really did.
I have one last thing to say, and then we can segue into this, and it's to talk about the reimagining thing. It's kind of the same reason why I don't like What If. And it's because I want stories to kind of go the way that they're supposed to go or expected to be. I feel just that same way. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. And so Pixie Dust ratings. We do this on all the movies. We do this on the series we watch. Kate, Pixie Dust rating out of 5.
3.7.
Okay. Pete?
I'm going to give it 4. I know it doesn't sound like I would, but again, I really liked the movie. I did. And if you can get past what I couldn't get past, I think it's a fun movie to watch. I recommend it to anybody.
I'm going to give it a 3 because it was still a great movie and I think everyone should watch it, but maybe not should. I would recommend it, but I probably won't be watching it again. Yeah. Sam?
I'm giving it a 4.5 because I haven't given anything a 5 yet on this show whatsoever. I consider myself to be kind of a tough grader, but to me a 4.5 is something. Yeah, well, Derek of course is too, but in a different way. But I will watch this movie over and over and over again, as I already have. And I will tell you, I gave a couple of the Marvel shows about the same rating, but I actually haven't rewatched those. So this is very high praise for me. To get a 4.5. I love this movie despite its conflict with the original. Derek.
I'll be honest, I have a hard time grading this one because do I rate it as a movie or do I rate it as a prequel? I'm going to give it
average the two.
I would say
No,
do
I
it
can't
as a
average the
movie.
two. If
I
I
would
do it
think
I
as,
this movie,
I
don't
rated
do
it
a
as a
prequel.
movie.
as a movie,
I rated it
I'm
as a
going to give it a
movie.
3.75 like Kate.
Copycat.
Well, but with the idea that it will probably go up in my opinion the more I watch it, is what I said. If I have to do it as a
It will.
prequel, well, yeah. But I would say 3.7. So it's really, guys, it's a movie we all basically liked.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that doesn't happen very often. Speaking of that not happening very often, we're going to go on to What If. Okay? Nice quick change, Kate.
Thank you.
So, Sam, is What If working, or does it need to go back into the multiverse?
What If needs to go back into the multiverse. Episode 2 was better than episode 1 and episode 3, in my opinion. I found episode 2, because it was so, different, having T'Challa be Star-Lord, and also it was really nice hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice and stuff. So there was some of that nostalgia coming back. But in general, I just think that this series is not good. It does not fit in nicely with the rest of the Marvel stuff that they're doing. It's not of the same quality as the rest of the Marvel stuff that they're doing. The stories, I kind of agree with Rebecca on this. They just don't fit. And I don't necessarily dislike a reimagining, right? I love Cruella, and that's a reimagining, but these are just like not good reimaginings for the most part. So far, I have to give it a thumbs down, to be perfectly honest. Derek, what about you?
This will come as a shock to no one. It needs to go back into the multiverse. I mean, I will give a thanks to Pete for acknowledging that I needed to skip episode 2, because I watched the first 5 minutes and had no clue what was going on, because I haven't seen Guardians or Black Panther, but I really haven't seen Guardians. Episode 3 was okay. I mean, it's a story that I get why. That's a story I can actually get why they told. It doesn't work in the multiverse, and then the ending felt really forced. Although I guess that's kind of the idea behind the multiverse, is anything can happen. So, I mean, this is just a scene. I will not be watching any more of these unless I have to for one of these episodes. Kate, any change to this?
No. I agree with both of you. And as all of you know, I've been watching my way through the Marvel Universe. I'm currently up to Daredevil season 1. And I thought about you, Derek, actually, while I was watching this, because I was thinking, especially episode 2, if you don't know T'Challa, if you don't know Star-Lord, if you don't know Peter Quill, and you don't know Yondu, like you are going to have
no clue,
no idea. And see, y'all are proving me wrong a little bit, because when I was watching this, knowing for the episode, I was like, oh man, I bet that Sam, I bet Sam and Rebecca are gonna love this, because they are diehard Marvel fans. Like, they know they're Marvel, they're into it. And so I was thinking, oh, maybe I just don't like this because I don't know Marvel as well. I am learning Marvel as I'm watching through in chronological order. So I feel like I was thinking that that's who it was geared toward, were the diehards who were like, oh my God, in this a separate universe. But I think you guys are proving me. I mean, Rebecca has an answer. Well, she kind of did earlier, but it's just, it's not for me. It's not for me. I have a hard enough time. Listen, hashtag Kate's confused. I have a hard enough time keeping everything straight in the normal universe.
The normal multiverse.
Then adding all of these, like, oh, JK, here comes Chadwick Boseman with a Star-Lord mask on. Like, that makes my brain go, not right. So it's but also because this is okay, and this is the last thing I'll say. Star-Lord is a very funny character. He is kind of, I can't use that word on here. He's kind of a punk. Like, he's a punk. And like, if you go back and you look at Guardians, they say some really raunchy stuff. T'Challa is regal and he is respectful, and he is kind, but he is authoritative. Like I would want to have a bourbon with him, not a Miller Lite. Like you're welcome, Derek. And that I couldn't get behind because it almost felt disrespectful to the Black Panther character to me.
Okay.
So I don't know. Pete, you go.
I probably like the show the most of the five of us. It sounds like we haven't actually heard from Rebecca, but based on her comments, I like it. Okay. It's very throwaway to me. I mean, Marvel, when they first announced it way back 2 years ago, it's like, oh, this is cool. But now they come out and go, well, this is part of the multiverse now, and it's all blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is just throwaway, garbage. Well, what if someone started killing the Avengers? Well, we don't want that story. We don't want that story. But for 20 minutes in a cartoon, it's fine. So, it's not that I would rate this show as anywhere near even the middle of Marvel stuff. I would definitely put it towards the bottom, but I'll probably keep watching it because I'm kind of enjoying the animation. The other issue I have with the show is I spend most of the show trying to figure out if the voices are the actual actors or not. And that is really distracting in my view. It's Michael Douglas.
Same.
Is that Michael Douglas? That can't be.
I did the same thing.
Douglas for this. They did, and like that takes you completely out of it too. So I guess, as I said, qualified but I'm not a big fan either. So Rebecca, what's your do you reach my level of mediocrity, or are you still below that?
I think honestly for me the worst part of this show is just how they do the animation. I really cannot get behind the very scratchy, not very fluid type of comic book style. I didn't think in this last episode that it even looked remotely close to Scarlett Johansson. I was instantly was like, everyone else, Nick Fury, spot on. Iron Man, all the men, spot on. What happened to her? She has one of the most recognizable faces, I think, ever, and you can't even do that right. And so that's just really been the hardest part for me is when I think of Marvel, I loved all of the live action Marvel series, love all of the movies, can't wait for when we do the Black Widow and that finally comes out for you guys to watch it. And, we get to talk about that one. But this show and even the concepts of each of the episodes are very hit or miss. With Gina here, she says that episode 3 was the worst one so far. For me, I thought episode 3 was the best one that I liked so far. So it's just what type of story are you really looking for? Because I do not care about T'Challa, like Kate and Sam have both mentioned. I don't care about him being Star-Lord. He is a very poised character, very honorable, like you guys were all mentioning earlier. I don't want to see him with Yondu and Thanos and all of this stuff, but you put all of the Avengers, all of a sudden they're all just dying. That to me was hilarious. Hulk exploded. That's pretty funny. He just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden, I like seeing Loki in there. It's just those things.
I'll agree with that.
That is the type of what if I was kind of looking for. It's not so far off from what could possibly happen in a multiverse. There is a branch where that happens somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But, I know we're eventually going to see an episode where Ant-Man doesn't have a body. I don't care about that, I really, and so it's very hit or miss. I'm kind of with you, Pete, in that it's...
Don't Kate. Don't you just go with confused Kate and be done.
Ant-Man just an ant?
No, he's literally a head and
let's
casing.
No, just move on. We're just moving on. Yeah.
One of the episodes. I don't know what to tell you. But
Kate,
I thought
happy thoughts. Yeah. That wasn't me. That was not me.
So it's just kind of whatever you're looking for. I will probably only watch the ones going forward that kind of scream towards my interest more of It's barely off, so it may happen. I'd be kind of interested in seeing that. I liked that this one was more towards, Pete, you had said this earlier, you really only need to know what Avengers are, like what that movie is to kind of understand it, which is a very basic early MCU movie, so you could have already seen that one when it was released, and so it kind of worked the best out of all the three. But then again, Regina, some people just don't like that, so it's
I didn't like that
but
one.
I wouldn't say it needs to go all the way back into the multiverse. Does it need to be rewritten? 100%. I think even Ryan says, sounds great in concept with amazing actors and the different storylines, but they completely dropped it when they were executing it. So
I 100% agree with Ryan on this. I feel like the concept was a cool idea, and then it did it horribly. I actually didn't like episode 3, not because of the concept. I just actually thought it was really badly executed. Versus I didn't like the concept of episode 2, but I thought that was a little bit better executed. Like I said, I also liked hearing Chadwick's voice again. But yeah, I think I'm not going to watch any more episodes unless I have to for this show. And I want to send this out a black hole instead of into the multiverse.
And I'm kind of piggybacking off of what Kate said earlier too, about how it was kind of for the diehards. Like, me and Willie were over here so excited for it to come out. We were so eagerly waiting to say, oh my gosh, what if that happened? Like, what if Loki never died? What if, Jarvis like never, had popped out or never, changed like negative for some reason at that one point. So like, what if those things happened, And so we were so excited for this to come out, and it really, really dropped it compared to what Marvel is used to putting out. So
I wish we could do a Kate noise here, but I feel like I don't do a good one, but it would be like a wah, 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 or something. There you go.
And Ed agrees, thought the script of episode 2 was cheesy. Yeah, I tried to watch episode, as I said, didn't make sense to me. So
let's see. Then all over my social media, people were like, what if episode 2? Oh my God.
Is it just because of Chadwick Boseman? Is it just,
I don't know,
that this is the last we'll hear of his new stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
That's kind of the one reason I liked it, was that.
I think Black Panther 2 may have something.
Oh yeah, it does.
But
it does.
I don't know if it was because of Thanos being like, now he's like a good guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that so maybe people got a kick out of that. To me, as I said, I'm enjoying it, but not loving it. So
yeah.
I'll probably keep watching it. I'll take one for the team. I'll keep watching it, and if there's a particularly good episode, maybe I'll mention it to you. But
okay. Now,
I love that idea, Pete. You can be our screener.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to watch Turner and Hooch again.
Speaking of people not loving things, next week I've issued a challenge to the rest of the platoon. Find a Marvel movie I'll like. Okay. They're going to have, and they've been talking about it in the background. They've got to find a Marvel movie for the anti-Marvel guy. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they come up with. I'm going to give whatever I choose. We're going to watch as a platoon, and I will give my honest feedback. And guys, if I like it, I'll say so. If I don't like it, trust me, I'll say so. So, that's
so we're
next
each
week.
Gonna we're each gonna present him one movie. Each one of us is gonna pick a movie, present it to Derek, and at the end, he doesn't know what movies they are at the start.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, he will have to pick one of those 4 movies, and the next episode we will have all watched it and we will review it.
Yeah, the only caveat is it won't be the first Avengers movie because we've already reviewed that for
that's
you.
the one I've seen all of. That's the only one I have seen all of. So,
yeah. We've already reviewed that on the show, so it's not going to be the first Avengers movie. So it's any of the Avengers movies. We're talking the MCU movies, not TV shows. We're going to pitch to Derek.
Yep. And
it looks like Ed's excited.
Oh, the possibilities. Yes. And guys, if you have ideas, email us. I will forward those emails on to the platoon. Get in the conversation, guys. What Marvel movie will I like? And if guys, I'm going to come up with some kind of a prize. Whoever can actually find a Marvel movie that I will actually like. So let's.
I just want you to admit it. That's the prize to me.
Guys, if I like it, I will admit it. I will say, guys, I didn't think I was going to like Cruella, and I give it a 3.75. So that's, I mean,
Copycat.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Sure. Yes, I copied Kate. There's worse people to copy. So, but
I'm also putting this out there that I, to all the rest of my tuners, am going really hard on my pitch. So you got to bring it.
Okay. So that's next week. Again, please, if you have ideas, email us. Okay. Ed's already throwing Ragnarok out there. Okay. So email us plusplatoon@gmail.com. Okay. I will forward those emails on. I will send your ideas on, but get in on the conversation with the chat next week, guys. So, guys, we are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We are coming out on the podcast, guys. Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google. It's coming out there. So please like, subscribe, get on there, give us the reviews, tell us what you think, and come back next week to see if they can convince me to like something. So with that, guys, I will say good night and see everyone next week. Bye, guys.
Good night. Happy Platoons Day.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.